Hello everyone, welcome to another video. Philip here with another guide for Vainglory. This time we're going to talk about heroes on the mid lane for the 5 versus 5 of Vainglory. Typically you have a CP carry on that mid lane position, usually a mage. There have been a lot of nerfs and changes to the different updates, and now currently we are on update 4.1. So let's go over the heroes that are best for this position and why they are best for this position. So first one, it seems from the bans and picks and win rates that we've been witnessing so far, still Magnus. He got a little bit of a nerf on update 4.1, but he's still very strong. It was mostly his ultimate that got nerfed, but overall he still does a lot of damage. He can put a lot of pressure early on, especially if you know how to play his abilities pretty decently. So a lot of interesting ways to play him. I don't know the best builds for Magnus. I would assume Spellfire, and then I have no clue. Probably Spellfire, Eve of Harvest, and either Shatterglass or a Broken Myth. You just want him to have a lot of damage. I was gonna say maybe some people play in Frostburn, but I haven't really seen him being playing Frostburn, so I better shut up now and move on to the next hero, which I know a lot better of, and it's Celeste. She's been a top tier mage in the mid for quite a long time. Already on the 3 versus 3 meta, she was quite strong as a lane carry. She has that power spike when she manages to max out the Heliogenesis, her A ability, and also if you max her B ability, she saves a lot of energy on her B. Of course, usually you want to max the ultimate, so it depends a lot on how you manage her build, how you feel more comfortable. If you want to do more battery-based itemization or not. I've seen a lot of people playing her with a Spellfire, Eve of Harvest, and then either Broken Myth or Clockwork or even Shatterglass. It depends a lot if you want to do a lot of Heliogenesis or just do tons of damage each time you land one. And also the main Heliogenesis doesn't really do as much damage as it used to be. It's more the Holy Nova, which is when you hit the core. Actually, is really called Holy Nova. Oh shit, that's not the right button. Check her abilities here. It's called Heliogenesis. Yeah, it's when you Supernova. Yeah, that's it. Supernova, not Holy Nova. When you do the Supernova on her Heliogenesis, that's when you really do a lot of damage, and that's probably where you should try to focus on. Some people use Celeste to spread out a minefield across the range to prevent enemy heroes from diving onto you and just keep poking them at a long range and try to stun them if they ever get too close. You need to a certain degree of skill to play Celeste, but she's very strong, so I would highly advise her. I would highly advise you to try her out if you're not used to her and you would like to play the mid. Another hero that's also very strong is Karf. He got a bit of a nerf a couple updates ago, but he's still strong. You need to make sure that he reaches late game. Late game is where he's the strongest. His Spitfires have increased distance, so you can do a lot more poke damage with them, and also pretty much the similar build that most mages are currently doing. Spellfire, Eve of Harvest, and then either you go for Shatterglass for doing a lot of damage, or Broken Myth if you want to do some piercing damage, or Clockwork if you really want to send out a lot of Spitfires onto your enemy. I would probably go for Shatterglass myself, but who knows. Also, Frostburn sometimes work on Scarf, but it depends a lot. And I haven't played Scarf recently on recent meta, so I probably should shut up about the builds right now. The main thing you should know about Scarf is that his ultimate is usually critical, so you should try to get Dragon's Breath hitting on as many opponents as possible, and you need to make sure that you are properly ready to shine to release it. So make sure you have reflex block ready, or people who will try to stun you while you're doing, or boots ready in case you need to chase down enemies to make sure that the flames hit on the enemies throughout the whole time that you're releasing the Dragon Breath. Other than that, I already went through the build. Make sure you get Alcyon Chargers to keep up with the mana. That's pretty much it. Next hero on our list is Moline. Very versatile hero. She can be used as a jungler. She can be used as a top laner as well. But a lot of people have been playing her on the mid. A lot of things on her kit to dodge away from things, to avoid, to stun. So you can do a lot of interesting things with Moline. You need to be very skilled to play her. But yeah, she's still pretty strong. I would like to know what is the best build for her right now, but I don't, so I will remain quiet on that. Next hero on our list is Samuel. Samuel got a little bit of a nerf on 4.1. His sustain isn't as strong as it used to be, but he still does a lot of poke damage, and especially early on in the games, you can use him to be really oppressive with those Malice and Verdicts hitting your opponent laner and his support. And since he has a little bit of regeneration and your opponent teams or team members or heroes probably don't have that built-in regeneration, he can use that momentum to push the enemy hero back into his turret and cause some damage or get an earlier turret. You just need to be careful of not getting ganked. The build path is pretty similar to other mages right now. What's in the meta is always Spellfire first, get your Halcyon Chargers on fast enough, then either go for Shatterglass or maybe Dragon's Eye if you want to accumulate, and Eve of Harvest if you want to have more sustain throughout the team fights. Next hero on the list is Vox. He got a few buffs that have increased his CP path, and we've been seeing a lot more people playing CP Vox. To play CP Vox, you need to be careful. You need to make sure that you are landing those resonance bounces on your enemy team. So you need to be in the inner verge of the team fight, let's call it that. So you're not completely inside the team fight, but you need to at least be hitting one enemy hero that has the bounces so it propagates to the other people. And once you have that small advantage and your teammates help, you can use that opportunity where during the chaos of all the fighting to get deeper into the team fight and spread those bounces around. And especially if you get Dragon's Eye, you really start hurting with those resonance bounces. So builds for Vox, they're also pretty similar to the rest of the current meta. Spellfire, maybe Dragon's Eye is good for him. Eve of Harvest definitely helps him sustain on the team fights longer. And then it depends. You can go Shatterglass, you can go Frostburn. It really depends on what you want to do with him. Clockwork's probably not very useful, unlike the other guys, but Broken Myth might still be useful for Vox if someone is starting to build shields. Next hero on the list is Varia. She got a little bit of a nerf, very small nerf, but I think she's okay. She's still pretty viable. She needs at least 3 items to really come online, but she becomes pretty good when she reaches that. Usually it's Spellfire, Shatterglass, and something to help her with the rest of the kit, either Sustain or Broken Myth to have some more piercing damage on her. What else? Next hero on the list we have Ringo. Ringo got a very good buff on his ultimate, which made his CP path more viable again. Playing CP Ringo is quite different, or not quite different, but somewhat different from playing weapon Ringo. You have to rely more on your A to do more damage. Your B still has some CP damage into it, I believe. Let me check. Totally Silver, activating this Ringo, doesn't really say. Okay, I would have to check on Vainglory itself. But I think it's not just increasing the attack speed, it also has some additional CP damage to your basic attacks. But usually for Ringo, you have alternating current as one of the core items, and then probably Shatter Glass and something to keep sustained. So probably Eve of Harvest or Spellfire if you want to do those mortal wounds. Or I'm thinking maybe Clockwork might work, but I really don't know. I haven't really tested Clockwork on Ringo, so don't hold me accountable for that if it doesn't work. Would like to check the top builds on Ringo on VG Pro, but right now the Vainglory API is down, so I can't really check them to be more reliable about these builds. Sorry about that. Hope you guys understand. Let's move on to the next hero. These are the main heroes that you usually see on the mid lane. I picked a couple more that I sometimes see there, and they seem to be still strong. First one is Anka. She's more of an assassin type of hero, but if you get her either Spellfire or Shatterglass early on, I've seen a lot more people using her with Shatterglass instead of Spellfire. So probably the best build for her is Shatterglass and either Clockwork or Aftershock. Since Aftershock got that nerf, I haven't seen many people using it, but it's still a viable option for Anka. And yeah, you know, just dive in, get away, do tons of damage with your blades. Let's take a look at the official names for the things. Githian Promise, that's her heroic perk. Shimmer Blade and Dance of Blades. And the Mirage, if you're desperate to get away from the team fight, starting to get cornered, use the Mirage, get the hell away, maybe kill someone in the process. So yeah, Anka can be very good, especially if you have a composition that is more tanky, or the enemy, or to help protect a bit Anka or distract the enemy team, or if the enemy team has some very squishy heroes that she can easily dive upon, like if they have a Ringo, if they have a Gwen, if they have someone like that she can just get in and get out and just finish them off really quick with her abilities, and the rest of the enemy team's heroes are not tanky enough or have enough crowd control to keep her inside the team fight, then she's really good. If the enemy team has too much crowd control, then Anka is probably not the best option. You will only be able to use her to poke from a distance, and for that you probably want Spellfire build instead. So Spellfire, Shatterglass, just do a ton of damage and leave those mortal wounds open so the rest of your team members can capitalize on it. And the last pick that we have for the mid we've been seeing a lot of is Jewel. People just play her Spellfire, Shatterglass, and then maybe Clockwork, or maybe not, just another Shatterglass on top of it, or Broken Myth even to do some extra damage. Some people do Frostburn as well to make sure that your enemies stay on the big red button once you use it. She got a bit of a nerf, especially on her energy consumption. So if you use her B ability a lot, you will run out of energy very quick. So the Thunderstrike. So make sure you have those Alcyon chargers early on, or just extra B. You can even, well, on Clockwork you also get a little bit of energy back. So having Clockwork back on Jewel might make a little bit more sense, but beware that you won't be hard hitting as much as you would hope you would be, as in during update 4.0. So yeah, those are the main heroes on the mid lane. Let me know what you guys think. If you have any other suggestions off meta, in meta, if you have any suggestions for the builds. I clearly don't play mid lane as much as some of you guys do, and I'm not as knowledgeable with the current builds for each of these heroes. So if you have any tips for those, feel free to post on the comments below. Until then, hope the video was useful. Bye bye, take care.